we all have to make money, but it's not so much about the money, but the fact that people are willing to give money for something that we've created and poured ourselves into. It's an honor.
Welcome to the Heart of Fauquier podcast. We're here to highlight the stories of local business owners around the area because we believe that business owners are at the heart of any community. It's not just about bringing awareness to the businesses, but seeing the faces, hearing the stories, and learning the mindsets behind the success. Now let's join our host Austin, owner of Bedrosian Cleaning Services, with today's special guest.
Welcome to the Heart of Fauquier podcast. I'm your host Austin, and today we have two special guests. We're going to kind of do a 1-2 punch and talk about two different organizations at the same time. So we have Brent and Lindsey Henderson. They own the Good Reverend Kombucha, and then they also run and operate the Hope Hills in Warrenton. So we're going to talk about both of those. But first, I want to talk a little bit about just you guys. I know you guys have some kids and everything, so if you can just give a kind of a brief bio on who you guys are and your family and everything.
You want me to do it?
Whichever.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been married, 16 years?
16 years. Yeah.
Okay.
We have Ashton, who is 15, just got his learner's permit. Tanner is 14. Piper Jane is 10, soon to be 11, and Charlie Ann is 3.5.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And
they're amazing.
And I think it's so cool, and you guys too.
Yeah.
We have a Charlie Ann as well. And so we met a little while ago, and you met Charlie, and you're like, well, I have a Charlie Ann. And it was just so cool, because it's not the most common name, it's becoming more common, I suppose, but how cool is that?
Yeah.
But even the middle name lining up is so wild, you know?
So neat.
Yeah.
And for us, it's a family name. We kind of combine together.
Us
Same.
too.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's so neat.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have the 4 kids, 16 years married. Congrats, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
In this world, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And then so let's talk about the Good Reverend first.
All right.
So where did the idea even come from? How did it get started?
Well, in 2009, Lindsey was having just a bunch of digestive issues. Every single night after we would eat a meal, she'd have to go lay down for 10, 15 minutes.
It was the only thing that gave me relief, whatever, being on my back, horizontal. It was the strangest
Otherwise,
thing.
it was just almost debilitating pain.
It hurt,
She couldn't really function until she just kind of got through that, which I guess, I don't know, some sort of indigestion or something. I'm not sure, but when her folks were building their house, their lead carpenter was this long-haired, dreadlock hippie guy who lived in West Virginia in the mountains by himself, and he had this tonic, this elixir he'd bring to work every single day and drink this. And Lindsey's mom somehow mentioned that she was having this pain, and this guy made all these claims about this stuff that he had, this kombucha, and that it's anti-aging and anti-cancer, and I don't know about any of those things, but he said, well, maybe it would help with her digestive stuff. So we took it, and from the very first time that she had it, it relieved all of her pain instantly. Not over several days, but the very first time.
It was just the probiotic that my gut needed to restore itself. You know, it was amazing. It was very cooling and healing, and it just helped everything fall into place. So then I was like, we have to make do
this.
this.
So he set us up with the SCOBY. SCOBY's an acronym for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast, and it's this thing that floats in your tea, and it ferments it. It's this living enzyme that feeds on the sugar of the sweet tea and turns it into this magical living beverage. And so when we first started, Lindsey made it for a month or a few months or something like that. I don't know exactly how long.
I took classes and stuff. We'd go to Mother Earth News Fairs, and I'd sit on these classes, and I'd be like, dude, we have to do it this way. We're doing it wrong. It could be so much better. And
so she after a little while, just kind of got tired of making it, and so that's whenever I took over. So, which was it was 2009 when we started. It was 2009 whenever I took it over in our home, and for the longest time, it didn't taste good. You know, Lindsey's a nutritional counselor, and we're really big on clean eating, and so we put a lot of things in our body that don't taste the best because we know how good it is for us. And for the longest time, kombucha was one of those things. We did it not because
I know it's good for me.
we enjoyed it, but because we knew that it was really helpful, especially for Lindsey.
Yeah.
And so I've been making it since 2009, and some years ago, I guess probably 7, 8, something like that years ago, we went down to Florida, and we were at this really cool farmer's market, and there was a girl that was selling kombucha there that she made, and it just looked beautiful and vibrant. And I mean, I'd had some of the stuff in the store.
Look like this and taste like this.
Yeah. I had some store-bought stuff, and I was like, it's better than mine, but it still is not something that I was like, I just would love to have this, And this girl had, the flavor I had was called grape hibiscus, and it blew my mind how kombucha could actually taste great. And so I went home, and I became like obsessed, and I spent 4.5 years on developing the kombucha that we have now, on experimenting with every facet of production, from the vessels that we use, the time, the tea, the quantities of ingredients, and
it's like a science experiment.
Very much like a science experiment. Yeah. Definitely employ the scientific method throughout. Isolate variable, establish new baseline. And it's been a journey of passion and love. It was never something that we did because we wanted to start a business. At the time, I was in another career path that I expected to be, how I spent the rest of my professional career. And kombucha was just something that we enjoyed, and that's how we got into making kombucha.
So when in the process did you actually start the Good Reverend? Was it during the 4 years of kind of experimenting with stuff, or was it after you figured it out, you're like, this could turn into a business? Like when did that actually open up?
Well, we had people suggesting for quite some time that we start a business, and
because he's like buying all these bottles and crocks, and he's sharing kombucha. And at the time, like, we didn't make a lot of money, so I was like, what are you doing? Like, we don't need more crocks. We don't need more juice. Like, stop.
I spent like $40, and she'd be like, why are you spending $40?
Yeah, and like everyone's taking bottles home, and I'm like, what? Like, this is cool, but what are you doing?
Yeah.
It was 2 years ago, right, that you were like, I'm quitting my job. I'm making kombucha. And I was like...
Was it 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like right when COVID hit.
I think this summer, June of 2022, will make 2 years since I quit.
Wow.
And I said, all right, as long as you can pay the bills.
Right.
I'm good with it.
Was it like a part-time thing you were experimenting as a business when you had your career, or did you just jump into it and you're like, I'm going to make this work?
Well, so I had switched careers by this point, and I've spent most of my life in carpentry.
Got it.
And so I got back into carpentry as a project manager for a great company here locally. And when COVID hit, I guess backtracking a little bit, I had already started the process of getting my products tested and inspected and improved, and going through, VDACS, Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, is our regulating authority in kombucha here in Virginia. So I had started that process, which for me took about a year to navigate. Not that it is a year-long process for people who are more administratively inclined than I am, but for me it took about a year. And so it was March of 2020 whenever I finally got everything approved, which at the time, we were just kind of planning on it being something that was, we would start doing some farmers markets and stuff. It would be a part-time thing. And it was March 2020 whenever I got approved through VDACS, which was right when the coronavirus pandemic hit, the world. So commercial construction came to just a grinding crawl, and they had to slash salaries temporarily, but it was to a point where we couldn't navigate it, and we hadn't really started selling product yet. But I said, well, I can't really even afford to live working at this job, so may as well,
just go for it. Yeah.
So yeah, it was June of 2020 whenever we finally made the jump into it, and it's been grand.
Yeah, that is a big jump. Yeah, some people, I feel like there's a couple different ways people do it. Excuse me. Sometimes people have a side business that grows so fast that it can't be a side business anymore. And then there's some people that are like, this idea, I see some hope in it, and they just jump for it. And I feel like both can work out really well. Yeah. And they're both scary, so it's just making some sort of transition. So that's great. So yeah, it's interesting how many times I've heard people now that started a business right before or right after all the coronavirus started, and I think it just goes to show that any excuse will do, or on the flip side with you guys, that even if something crazy is going on, like I'm just gonna make it work because I can do this thing, and it doesn't matter what the world is doing. Transition is going to happen anyway, so I'm just gonna take control of it and reign. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. So where did the name come from then?
So people tell us all the time how much they don't like kombucha.
Yeah.
That it's gross vinegar, it's just something that people choke down simply because it's healthy, which again, that's kind of what it was for us for the longest time. But people try our kombucha and we make a new believer, and so like a Good Reverend, that's where the name came from.
Okay, so it's just from the process of people winning people over.
Winning people, making converts.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, he's also a reverend.
Are you?
Yes.
So there's that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Have you been a pastor before, or are you? Okay.
I have. Yeah.
Okay. Are you currently?
I am not.
Okay.
No. I make kombucha strictly.
Hey, that's pretty cool. That's neat. Awesome. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So you were saying how it's only been 2 years. So you've been seeing a lot of growth recently, though. You said before we started recording. So what's kind of your vision as you continue to grow for the company?
Well, right now our production facility is in our basement, and we're already bursting at the seams with just the space requirements and storage and everything. So one of the next steps that we're doing is going to be moving into just a larger facility to be able to produce out of, and then we're just trying to hit the Washington D.C. market and get in and navigate that community as much as we can. Our strategy is we want to be an inch wide and a mile deep. We don't want to be spread out to where we've got a store here in West Virginia and a store here in Southern Virginia. We want to really just service. We're in Fauquier County, but our city is Washington D.C.
Sure.
We want to service D.C. and the D.C. area just as well as we possibly can. So we're really focusing on that. We've got some creative ways that we're looking to meet the demand there in DC. Some things that are still a little secret, so I can't share some of the things that we're doing there. But we're doing. There's been a couple restaurants that have reached out to us to do like signature flavors for them. So we're doing some signature flavors for some restaurants in the DC area and Chicago actually as well. That's the immediate,
the big focus.
We're also expanding into hard kombucha. Hopefully this year, but we've given ourselves this year to navigate the research and development process and then go through the process of the the new inspections with, you know, ABC, TTB, the different regulating bodies for alcohol.
Also canning and shipping.
Yeah, and then right now we don't have an ability, just shipping is so expensive.
Yeah.
And we only bottle, so we only use glass bottles, 16 ounce. And it's very cost inhibitive.
Yeah, I mean, and it's liquid, so it's heavy and
it's real heavy.
breakable if it's glass stuff, and
Yeah.
so that's a big thing to
Yeah.
kind of overcome.
Yeah, so cans will make it easier for us to do some drop shipping more affordably, and then we want to be able to expand that way into a broader market.
Sure.
But as far as physical presence, we're trying to focus on DC, and then we'll have a separate marketing team that's focusing on, you know, more national shipping distribution.
So there's a lot of new things kind of in the works. So people have to follow you guys on social media and watch for the venues. It's gonna come.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's huge.
Awesome. So that kind of, you know, you talking about the shipping and stuff. What have been your biggest challenges that you've already run into and maybe even overcome that you could share with us?
Well, I always tell people the biggest challenge that we have making kombucha is the fact that we make kombucha.
Okay.
You know, people, there is such a stigma associated with it that it isn't something that can taste delicious, that you would want to drink just to drink something, you know.
Yeah, some people won't even try it. They're like, that's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's one of our biggest challenges to overcome. But beyond that, you know, specific to the kombucha industry, just trying to navigate labor during a global pandemic, you know, seeing employees sick with COVID and figuring out how to navigate all of that, trying to figure out how to manage running a business. I mean, you've seen our brewery, and that's here in the basement. It's a full scale brewery. Yeah. But it's also in our basement, you know? Yeah. So just trying to find that balance between work, life, and employees in the home, and of course the same issues that I think most businesses struggle with: cash flow, customers that won't pay, and having to chase people down, which is not, you know, my MO.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially when you're a younger business too, you don't have like all this built up that you can handle the punches. It's like, we gotta keep moving, like, come on.
Come on.
And it's a little, it hurts a little more when you get the punches.
Sure.
Yeah. I get that. Mm-hmm. And the stigma, I definitely understand, because, you know, I've had that. Mm-hmm. The only reason I don't have it is because I'm, you know, with a podcast, I'm pushing myself to meet other people and try different things in the community. Mm-hmm. Because it's funny, I have the only way I knew about kombucha before the last year or so is in college. I had a housemate that made it on his own in the kitchen, and it's just this really weird. This dude has like mold sitting on his tea, and he like scoops out and drinks it. It was the weirdest thing, and it was just like, this is strange. So it didn't make sense to me. Mm-hmm. It smelled funny, and it was just, he was a quirky guy anyway. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, kind of like your guy that you guys learned it from, maybe. It was just like, what is this guy doing in my house? Yeah. So that was my thought with it as well. Yeah. And then, you know, you try it for the first or second time, it's like, it's still a little funky, but okay, it's getting more popular. I would say.
Yeah. For sure.
I don't know if it's with people being more health conscious, or it's just been around long enough that people
catching on.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a combination of the two, you know, exposure, and there's some big companies that have really helped forge that path for us in the kombucha industry, make it a more mainstream beverage. But I think that the coronavirus has actually kind of benefited us in this industry. Sounds dark to say that, but so many people are looking to take their health into their own hands. And kombucha is an excellent way of doing that, because not only is it good for gut and digestive health, but it's immune boosting and detoxifying. So I think that's been a really positive thing that's come out of this pandemic, is people, not just kombucha, but just people looking to take their health into their own hands, and not just relying on hospitals and the medical industry, because I mean, you can't even get into even our local hospital is virtually impossible unless you're missing an arm or something.
Yeah.
You know, to get. And I don't say that as a knock against them. I mean, they're at capacity. They're working 24/7 around the clock.
Sure.
You know, so people have almost had to say, okay, well, how can we be more intentional in our home with our foods and our lifestyle to try to keep ourselves as healthy as possible.
Yeah, because part of it is to make it so you don't get sick at all, and then even bigger than that, it's just when you get sick, because it's going to happen, whether it's COVID,
Sure.
the flu, whatever. Like, I got to be ready, my body has to be ready. You know, all of the Doritos and fast food and
Yes.
soda is not helping me
Right.
fight off sickness. So if there's
Yeah.
something else, I think a lot of people are looking for that.
Yeah.
And it's just the problem that I've seen is, like you guys with the original kombucha, is that it's just not fun or tastes good. It's not as easy to get and stuff. So, but I think people are starting to search a little more diligently and are more open to things to be healthy. So, that's good.
Which now there are some really, really great mainstream flavors that
For
are out
sure.
there that you can find at the stores and things of that sort.
Okay. Out of your guys' flavors, what are your maybe top 2 flavors that you go to all the time?
For me, it's citrus ginger.
Okay.
Is my absolute favorite.
I love Blue Hawaii. I think it's incredible. That blue spirulina just really sets it off in color, and coconut water and banana and pineapple, and it just feels alive.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Neat. And I have seen that one before, because I've seen you guys at a market or something like that, and that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Cool. It definitely stands out.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's been the most enjoyable thing about now owning a business? I mean, you're a couple years into it, so you've got the feel of, I'm a business owner, and it's just, I don't know, it's kind of fun. What's your most enjoyable part about owning a business now?
Well, I think that, you know, this thing that we started that was just a passion, watching how the receptivity, you know, the people that are dedicated to not just kombucha, but our kombucha and our company, and watching so many people from, you know, farmers markets and people that we get to directly interact with to cafes. I mean, Washington football team is one of our customers, you know, and seeing these, I guess there's just, this may sound, maybe it's all ego, I don't know, but it's validating, you know, it's vindicating in a sense, you know, whenever people, this thing that was never meant to be a business for us, it was just, we wanted to create, I mean, my goal was always, I said it for years, I wanted to make the world's best kombucha.
Okay.
And I think that we're probably among that. I don't know if, you know, I haven't tasted all the kombucha in the world, but you know, I feel like we spent 4.5 years just developing, just research and development, and I've got, you know, notebooks of journals from you know, everything everything was logged, everything was tracked, and so to see so many people get behind that, and you know, it's of course, I mean, you know, we all have to make money, but it's not so much about the money, but the fact that people are willing to give money for something that we've created and poured ourselves into. It's an honor, you know, so I think that's the most, you asked enjoyable, I think I'm speaking more satisfaction, but I'd say that's the most satisfying part of the business, is that people are willing to, you know, you work hard for your money, I work hard for my money, and so we have to be really intentional about what we give that money towards. And so when people are willing to purchase your product and sacrifice their money, their income for what you have to offer, that's a really satisfying feeling.
Definitely. And I recently was talking to someone, it was for a snapshot interview that I do, and he was saying how, you know, when you chase the dollar bill, it usually doesn't work, it falls apart. But if you chase your passion and, you know, continue to do that, that's when the money's going to come, whether you're looking for it or not.
That's
good.
Yeah.
So, and I thought that was very interesting. That, I mean, you guys are already starting to show that. I mean, that's a lot of dedication to experiment and do things for 4+ years. And I mean, you weren't being forced to do it. It's just, you know, you wanted to do it. Like, it wasn't your job to do it. It was just in addition.
I had to kind of sneak some of it from Lindsey.
What are we doing?
What was your drive to do it? I mean, I know you said you wanted the best kombucha and everything, but you didn't have the big business in mind or anything like that. What was your drive to keep doing it? You know, like
OCD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. I fixate on.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
When we first were married, I wanted to make the world's best fried potatoes.
Okay. Did you do it?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, there you go.
Then I wanted to make the world's best fried chicken, and
No.
I did not
No.
because I could never get it as good as my grandma or my aunt.
Okay.
And then it was kombucha, which was really satisfying because, you know, with fried potatoes and fried chicken and stuff, you know, I mean, I'm sure you could experiment for years and years and years,
Sure.
but there's only a small handful of elements that you can tweak, you know, the pan that you use, the oil that you use, the chicken, the seasonings. But with kombucha, fermentation is one of the most interesting physiological or maybe biological principles. It's just astounding that, you know, you put these ingredients in and then you get something else completely different on the back end, the life that's transforming. And the kombucha, the SCOBY and the starter, the kombucha itself, does it itself. All we do, you know, I consider myself like a farmer. You know, a farmer doesn't do anything but, you know, if you're raising cattle, you make sure that the cattle are safe and fed and healthy, and, you know, the cows, they're eating their own grass, and you know, I mean, there's certain things that we put in place to make sure that they can do what they need to do to grow in the healthiest manner possible. And kombucha is the exact same way. It does it. We just have to be there and nurture it, you know. I rabbit trailed and I don't even remember what your question was now.
We're talking about satisfying things.
Oh, yeah.
I think to add to that, one of
the OCD.
The coolest thing. Oh, am I skipping then over the last question?
It's all together.
Okay, cool. No, I just think it's incredible that it's something that we can do as a family.
Yeah,
That's the most rewarding thing. It's like, because, you know, our boys work for Brent.
Piper,
so
our
they do
10-year-old
like,
does.
they do school half the day, and then they're down here working in the brewery, and Piper, and we do markets together, and it's just really fun. Like, they can't wait to like get up on a Saturday morning, and, you know, they have all these friends and vendors. Like, vendor life is the coolest life.
It really is very, very special.
You come home, you barter, you trade. Like, it's so fun.
And you just look out for one another.
Yeah,
and
everyone has each other's backs, and I don't know, it keeps us together. It's like a legacy. We're creating this legacy
that's huge.
Will be passed down, hopefully.
If
they want to stick with it, but.
And even if it's not this specifically, you're putting the mindset into
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
You know, they're seeing mom and dad work on something together, and they're a part of it. So just what they're learning, that's so neat.
Yeah.
So
super fun.
Yeah. So kind of to switch gears a little bit, we also want to talk about Hope Heals, which I think is more of your thing, but you guys also work on that together.
Yeah, for sure.
So what is Hope Heals, first of all, for people who haven't heard?
Yes, Hope Heals is a community free store. We're in Warrenton on Falmouth Street. We take in free clothes, shoes, accessories, linens, baby gear, and we give them away for free. So it's kind of neat. All are welcome. No stipulations for who can shop, no judgment for whatever place you're in that moment. We just accept you for who you are. It's really awesome. And it's really blowing up. It's crazy. Like, we never thought.
Such a need.
Yeah.
When did you guys get started on that?
We are 2 years, well, I say 2.5 years ago. We kind of started in a different spot in Old Town Warrenton, and it didn't work out there. So we had to go from not paying rent to having to pay rent, and we were very new, and it was very scary, and it was like, all right, we got to step out in faith, you know, and believe that this is, like, the community is going to get behind it. And we had several families who just kind of devoted themselves financially to our ministry and said, we'll commit, 2 years to helping you guys cover the rent and the utilities, and that we can get up on your feet. And, since then we've gotten grants from the Path Foundation and, other individual donors who've seen it and are all about it, and it's
businesses
so cool.
In the
Businesses in the
are
community.
Giving somewhat
So
substantially at times.
Like we've never worried. Like,
Yeah.
it's just everything is always provided when we need it, and it's the coolest thing. Yeah.
And you said, 2.5 years ago, so that's when you're going through all this
Yeah.
transition. So it's like, it's not like you saw all this success and you're like, oh, we should be giving back. Here's a cool way, let's brainstorm. Like, it's just, hey, we need to give back. Here's a cool idea.
Yeah.
And you went for it at the same time as transitioning with business and COVID. Like, normal people don't do that.
No.
Did you know that? Normal people don't do that. You guys are normal, but that's good.
I'm like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go work for free
Yeah.
while you start a new company.
Right,
This
exactly.
makes perfect sense.
And I do want to brag just a little bit on Hope Heals. I think that it's one of the most beautiful and profound organizations. I mean, there's a number of extremely healthy and wonderful organizations that are doing incredible work in the community and in other communities. But one of the things that's so special is Lindsey, her team, nobody is drawing a salary or wages. No individual is receiving any sort of payment at all. Every dollar in, of course, there's rent, utilities, but then they're always looking for creative ways to be able to serve needs outside of just clothing, shoes, accessories, and things like that. So people will come in all the time, and men will say like, I've got a job waiting for me if I could just have some steel-toed boots. And if we don't have them in the store, Lindsey will order them or whatever. So every dollar that comes in is going back into the community. It's not going in anyone's pockets, which I think is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's really neat. And different.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, it is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it keeps things simple.
Sure.
It's like when money gets involved, it gets tricky and ugly sometimes, and we're all volunteers. We're all just doing the best we can,
Yeah. So what's kind of your vision now moving forward? Because you went from trying it didn't work, you decided to try it again, and it's working. Because I've seen a lot of success with it and word out about it. So what's kind of your vision now moving forward?
We're getting ready to jump into a way cool project. We have like 1,000 square feet attached to Hope Heals that was not conditioned, and it was just used for storage. And we just recently had an HVAC put in there, and we're getting ready to fix it all up so we can move all of our sorting and stuff over there, and we can expand the store.
Okay.
So now we can create more room. I mean, we're just so busy that it's like everyone's on top of each other. And of course that's really tricky, in our current environment and climate with COVID and everything. So it's like being able to kind of expand and, clean things up and make people feel more comfortable while they're there. Yeah, I think is important. So that's kind of really cool, and that's getting ready to happen like soon. But yeah, just continuing to minister to more people. We have like a majority is Hispanic, and so I would love to be able to learn Spanish and communicate with them, because for me, Hope Heals is all about relationship. I want to get to know you. I don't want to just give you clothes and see you later. I want to get in your world. Like, tell me, how else can we help? And so that's very difficult with like the language barrier and things. So just kind of navigating that. It's new territory for us, and but we'll get it.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll get it. We've got bilingual volunteers now who have been super helpful.
So as you're making these pushes to get to that next step that you're doing, people who are listening, how can they help you guys? Is it volunteers, donations? What are the biggest things you're looking for to keep growing?
We always need volunteers. There's never-ending clothes to sort and stock and all the things. I mean, it's just a revolving door of things. And so having volunteers in many hands makes obviously light work. And so we encourage anyone to come help. We're not fancy. There's not some major hurdle to jump through to join our team. Like, we're just let's do this. But yeah, I mean, obviously, monetary donations are awesome too. It helps us do what we need to do. We have a very low budget, so we're pretty low key, as far as needs go, but anything helps. And so, especially right now with our reno projects and stuff, it's always helpful. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. So I don't know, I think we talked about this, but it just still is really cool to me that I was thinking that your business was doing well, and you're like, hey, we have some time, like, let's reach out to to the community, but it wasn't that. It was
You don't have time when you start a business.
no. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we had launched Hope Heals, I think, prior to
Before the Good
prior
Reverend.
to the Good Reverend, so that
Yeah.
was already kind of like in the works and happening. So
Mhm.
we were in a rhythm. Although I had to step back when COVID hit because all of my kids were now home from school, and I even took in another friend's little boy. He was in second grade, so I had and a toddler, right? So it's
Yeah,
like
it's a
my
lot.
world was busy, and I was here all the time.
If anyone doesn't have time, it's a mom of 4
With
and
an
a new
extra child and a
business.
new
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a lot. So I had to kind of step back, and I didn't realize how much I missed it, you know? And
Yeah.
when I got to go back and things settled and the kids went to school, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
yes. So it just fills your heart up.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't not feel good about it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You meet such incredible people.
And you know you're making an impact.
Yeah. You hope that you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you guys are the epitome of, what we name the podcast, the heart of Fauquier is, because I think that entrepreneurs typically are the heart of a community. I mean, you guys are just, proving that right with, starting your business and then, reaching out to the community, and it's just, chasing your passion. All of it that you guys are doing is so cool. So thank you for doing that and making
Thank you.
the community better,
Oh, thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
I don't want to take any more of your guys' time, but if you have any closing comments, maybe something I've missed, or that you want to go back to, you're welcome to.
What are your website, socials?
Oh,
Yes.
hopehealsfreestore.org is our website.
Okay.
And we're on
social
Facebook
media.
too.
Okay.
We don't do a lot on our website right now, but Facebook, is where it's at. Can see all the happenings.
Yeah. And I know that
Yeah.
when you've had events, like you had a Christmas Eve event
Yes.
or and a book event, I think. So those kind of things
Yeah.
to keep an eye on those.
Yes. The toy drive was incredible this year.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So much fun. So much fun.
And then where can people get your kombucha? You said you're in different stores. What about locally in this area? If someone wants to grab some of your kombucha, where can they go?
Yeah, so Great Harvest in Old Town Warrenton has our kombucha on tap. So if you have growlers, you can bring any growler there and get it refilled. You can get bottles there, 16-ounce bottles that you can purchase and then continue refilling. They have a discounted price to refill. Hidden Jewels in Haymarket does the same thing. Natural Marketplace in Warrenton sells our bottles. Eden's Natural Marketplace in New Baltimore.
Circle K, the excellent.
Circle K in Warrenton.
There's a lot of places.
And then
Yeah.
we're in Leesburg, Charlottesville, some other
okay.
locations and stuff as well.
Charlottesville options.
Great.
Yeah.
Culpeper, Raven's Nest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for your
Of
time. Make sure you guys, follow them on the social media. Get one of these.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we
Shameless
each got
plug
one.
for the Good Reverend.
Yeah, so they let me try it. It tastes great. So definitely give them a try and follow what they're doing, because I think there's going to be a lot of big news from both sides of what you guys are doing as you continue to grow. So thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of The Heart of Fauquier. If you loved joining us today, give this podcast a great review and subscribe to keep up with new episodes. If you have an office in Fauquier that needs a cleaning service, reach out to Bedrosian Cleaning Services and see how they can serve you. Until next time, thanks for listening.